Sam, how are you?
I'm good. I just came back from a US tour. Did Paris and London straight after. Basically, did 3 weeks of touring with Baker Matt in the US. Went from New York to California and back, like everywhere. So yeah, it was a great experience.
Now back in Amsterdam, ADE, so a busy trip home, but is it good to be home?
It's always good to be home.
Okay.
Yeah, I love sleeping in my own bed. I love seeing friends, family, my girlfriend again. So yeah, it's always good to get back home, and especially after being on the road for a month.
Before we talk about the latest singles, I'd like to go back a little bit to the beginning. Do you remember the first album you ever bought?
I remember the first single,
Okay.
and that was The Riddle from Gigi D'Agostini.
Okay.
So I was a bit of a dance fan back then already, but I didn't know about it.
How old were you?
That's a good question. I think I don't know, you can look it up when it came out.
Sure.
That's the first thing I bought it. Because I remember, I really loved the clip they had with the videos, like this guy walking on like an animated world. And every time I was just sitting in front of the TV waiting for that clip to come back on. And then I heard about the song getting released. And when I was able to buy the single, I just went out to the store and bought it.
Sure. Do you still listen to the song?
I would, but
Okay.
I really don't. I forgot about it, but it's still
Fair
a great track. Yeah.
Fair enough. But at that time, were you already kind of into music, or was that the introduction for you to?
I don't know. Like it's the first single I really bought, so that's the first track I can remember that I really liked so much that I would want to buy it. But yeah, I've been around music all my life basically. My dad has been in so many bands. He plays guitar, he sings, he writes. Music was always on. Aero Classic Rock was the station that was always tuned in. So yeah, I was exposed to a lot of different styles of music from a very young age, I guess.
So when you started producing and going into DJing, what did your father think?
I don't know. Like he let me free to do whatever I wanted, basically. So when I wanted to do web design, he let me do that. Like he never dictated any of my career choices, and I think he's really proud and really happy to see that I'm having success in the music area.
And one thing I read about you, and I'm not sure how much of this is true, but that you had your own company when you were 13 or 14. And
Yeah, I did.
You always worked in all kinds of. So where do you know, maybe in hindsight now, where this ambition comes from, where this drive comes from?
I think it's just creation in general. I love to create stuff. I love to see stuff grow. So whether it is my musical career or an e-commerce site I would develop for someone. I just love to see things getting successful and improving on that growth.
And so it wasn't always just doing music. When did it sort of switch? When did the focus become music?
Well, music has always been a hobby of mine and a big passion. And I was playing my drive-in show when I was like 11 years old. I played like parties of my friends, birthday parties, stuff like that. So I always loved entertaining. I loved playing music, making music. It was more like a hobby. And I think it got serious when I got signed to Spinnin Records, the biggest dance label, around 2.5 years ago. And that's when I really thought and said to myself, okay, this could really be my career.
And looking back at in the last 2 years, how much has your life changed? Did you have to make a lot of sacrifices?
Yeah, I think it changed 360 degrees, like completely. I used to be home a lot. Of course, I still had school. This was basically a lot. Like I spent a lot of time like in the studio making music, stuff like that. And now it's just 70% of my life revolves around touring and just traveling and playing all these shows all around the world. And it's really good. It's really fun, but it's also a lot of sacrifice, like you said yourself. I can't see my friends and family as often as I would like to. So, yeah, you sacrifice quite a lot, but in the end, it's worth it for me.
One more thing about the time before Spinnin, because obviously when Spinnin signed you, things took off. But before that, you were already trying to get into music. So,
yeah.
And then I read somewhere that you had some disappointments here and there. So what kept you going? What made you want to?
I don't really know, man. Like I had a couple of times where I said to myself, yo, let's just try something else because this is not gonna work. And I sent so many tracks to all different kinds of labels, including Spinnin, never got a reply. And when I sent that track out that actually got me a response, I didn't expect anything of it anymore. I was like, this is something so different from what they're releasing. They're not gonna even consider releasing this. And then I got a reply in like 2 hours. So it was funny.
Have you asked them why they replied to this song?
Yeah, of course, and now in hindsight it makes sense. It's the track was unique. It was something else. It wasn't a duplicate of what was in the top 40 or the Beatport charts at that moment. It was completely different. It was like a guitar, more like a folk style house song.
Sure.
And I think that's what made them sign me.
And what you did just now mentioned, that originality, is that important to have as a DJ, because nowadays there are so many?
Yeah, look at me, dude. I've been trying, like seriously trying since I was 17 to break it into the scene and to get some gigs, get my record signed. And it still took me around 4 years to get my first deal. And the moment I got it, I realized I had to make music that I want to release, that I really enjoy, instead of copying someone else. So yeah, I think originality and staying true to what you like is really important, because when you like something and you put your heart in it, there's gonna be other people in the world that like it too. Even the weirdest styles of music have huge fan bases and are able to tour the world. So if you like it, there's sure to be people that like it too.
And well, this is a little bit of playing the advocate for the devil, but if things didn't work out, would you still be making music?
I don't know, like I've always done it, even though I didn't have any bookings, didn't get a record signed, so I think I would still do it, but my focus would be elsewhere. I would focus more on like the web designing that I did before, or building up different companies. You know, I have quite an entrepreneurial heart, so who knows? Like, but music has always been a hobby, and I think it always will be. Also, if my career dies in a year or two, I don't know, let's hope not, but sure, it will still be a big passion of mine always.
But luckily it's going well, and what you say is interesting, that you have this entrepreneurial spirit. So do you take that with you in kind of the Sam Feldt brand now? Do you?
I think so. Like for example, like I made my own logo. I'm really picky about like stuff like my website, my videos. I always take a video guy on tour with me, like who does like content, photos after every show. I recently launched a new website called heartfelt.me. It's like a portal especially for my fans, where they can unlock and download so many cool like Sam Feldt content items. So yeah, I'm actually constantly investing in new media and branding in general. So yeah, I think coming from that background helps me realize and helps me focus on the things that are important.
And then obviously the most important thing is the music. So if you take the last couple of songs, Deep End, can you tell me what the start of that track was?
Yeah, so I've been in touch with the Deep End guys for quite some time, and when I first got in the vocal from Timu, I was like, this is a hit, I need to focus on this track. So I worked in it in the studio for some time. Then I thought, this is great, but it could be a bit better. So I got the guys from Deep End in. They brought in a live guitarist who plays the lead guitar on the track. So I think it's just a really good collaboration and combination of two styles that work really well together.
Is that important to challenge yourself and not like you say, to go into different styles?
Yeah, like I'm never afraid to do like, to say to myself, okay, this is cool, but how can we make it even cooler? I did the same thing I did with Summer on You, for example, the track I released before Runaways. After a while, I almost finished the radio edit, and I was struggling with the club mix. So I said to myself, who are club hit makers that I play in my sets? And I was like, Lucas and Steve, so I got them involved in the project. So I'm always open to share a project or music in general if it ends up getting a better result.
Sure. And you mentioned Lucas and Steve. I spoke to them a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things is you do a lot of collaboration. So with this particular collaboration, what do you take away from it? Is there anything?
I think with every collaboration, you do, there's learning points and there's a learning curve as well. And just as a producer, you keep learning the whole time. You keep improving your sounds, your mix down, stuff like that. So being in a studio with different people and each of them having like a specific expertise or something they're really good at, it just helps to have me grow as an artist and a solo producer as well. So yeah, with every collab, for every minute you spend in the studio with someone else that knows stuff that you don't know, you're learning, and that's great.
Sure. And is there something particular that Lucas and Steve showed you, or that you noticed about how they approach?
Yeah, I don't want to get into like all the technical details, but like for example, I have a hey, what's up, dude?
Hey, brother.
All good?
All good.
Chair's inside.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, so like I think Lucas and Steve, they're more focused on producing for the clubs, and I'm more focused on producing for the radio. So the whole attack plan, game plan to create a track for them is a bit different. You know, the build-ups are a bit stronger, the drops are a bit heavier. But the good thing is they're both melodic, so it's a good crossover, I guess.
And you say every minute in the studio is very important. Now that things are going well and you're traveling all over the world, is it more difficult to find time to produce it?
Yeah, it's definitely more challenging to find some really quality time to spend in the studio. Like, of course, you can produce on the road with laptops and music production software nowadays. You can do great stuff wherever you are. You can put on headphones, just jot down a melody. But yeah, the production process and actually mixing it down, that always ends up being in studios. And yeah, of course, when you're on the road a lot, you're at airports. They're terrible places to produce. Hotel rooms are shit to produce in. So yeah, you have to keep focused and find the right time and places to do it.
So, I think there's a new track, "Be My Lover."
Yeah.
So when did you find time to work on that? Was it on the road?
It's actually been done for quite some time, a couple of months already. Actually, there's like 23 tracks finished right now. So basically what I do is when I have some time back home, when I have some time here in Amsterdam, I batch all the studio time that I have into like a couple days, block it off, lock myself into the studio and just produce and mix it down. Yeah, just basically finish all the ideas I've worked on the road. So yeah, "Be My Lover" is a new track that's going to come out. There's going to be another one first. It's going to be called "What About the Love." It's going to be a bit more up-tempo, 128 BPM, a bit more club-oriented, but still really melodic. So I'm working on so much new music. There might be an album coming up early next year as well. So.
Well, that's the thing, because you say there's about 22 tracks done. Are you going towards an album?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think around Miami I might drop an album, and that's going to include like 1 or 2, 3 singles, and then just basically a lot of like music that is amazing that I really want to get out there, but might be a bit more alternative, might not be the next radio hit, but it's still really cool, and I still really want to share that with my fans.
Sure, because in that sense, well, in EDM people don't always release albums. It's more track by track nowadays. But so is it important for you to have that freedom of an album?
Yeah, well, you can call it an album. I did an EP once, the Been a While EP. I did so many free downloads. So I think Sam Feldt has always been kind of a free project. I started it as a side project to what I was doing before because I wanted to make and release music that was coming from my heart. And I've done it in so many different ways. And like with the internet now, you can just put up a song on Spotify and it's basically free for everyone. So whether it's an album or single or an EP, creative freedom is pinnacle to me, like in a Sam Feldt project. And of course, one track might be focused on the radio, and then I have some tweaks here and there on the arrangement that make it more suitable for it. But when I get into the studio, I basically make whatever I want to make.
So, final question: what determines what comes out? Is it like you say, you kind of lock yourself up in your room? Is it your mood or?
Well, I think the foundation for a lot of my tracks is the a cappella, the vocal. So, and I work that way because I've tried it the other way around as well. So getting an instrumental first and then get a vocal on top of that. But it's such a slow process because then you finish the instrumental and then you have to go look for a year to find a perfect vocal. And when you start with a perfect vocal, you just have to make the track. So and it just limits down the options quite a lot. So when you get into the studio, you're working on a track that you know is going to be really good. If you don't fuck it up, at least, you know. So that's how I work, and that's where the inspiration comes from, mostly from the vocals.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.